Today, we are going to do nature and significance of principles of management. And this is the second part of part 2. And in this, we are going to study the techniques of scientific management. Now, techniques of scientific management are also called elements or tools. Once it was asked in CBSE exam, what are the elements of scientific management? So you should know that the techniques are called the elements, not the principles. So there are 4 techniques. Now, the third technique given here, work study, includes the various studies like method study, motion study, time study, and fatigue study. That's together called work study. So let's start with the first one, functional foremanship. Now, Taylor was the opinion that every worker should have 8 bosses, 4 from the planning department and 4 from the production department. And Taylor felt that there should be difference between planning and production. Planning should be separated from production. And I'll give you the reason behind it. Now, let's say your parents say that they'll buy you a car for the college if you get a certain percentage. And they tell you to decide what percentage. So what percentage are you going to tell them? That buy me a car if I get this percentage. You will try to fix the percentage as less as possible. You'll say, okay, if I get 70%, you buy me a car, isn't it? Because if you say anything less than that, they'll probably throw you out of the house. So you can't dream of a car then. So you say, I'll get 70% because you're playing safe. You know you're definitely going to get up 90 and above 90. But then you tell them, I'll get 70%. So the person who has to do the work, you tell them only to fix the target, then they'll try to keep it as low as possible. That is why Taylor said that the people who are planning, that means who are deciding what is to be done, should be separate from the production department, the ones who are going to produce. And each worker should have 8 bosses. 4 from the planning department and 4 from the production department. And in the planning department, we have instruction card clerk, route clerk, time and cost clerk, and disciplinarian. And in the production department, we have the gang boss, repair boss, inspector, and the speed boss. So let's study them one by one. So first of all, he wanted to separate planning and execution. Yes, now in the planning department, we had these 4 people. The instruction card clerk, he was supposed to give instructions to the workers, what is to be done, how it is to be done. The route clerk decides the route, that which thing is to be done first. Then the time and cost clerk prepares the time and cost sheet, that how much time should this work be completed in, so that the entire work can be completed on time. And the disciplinarian ensures that there is discipline. Then come to the production department. In the production department, we have the speed boss. Speed boss ensures that the work is being done on time. Then we have the gang boss. Gang boss keeps the machines and everything ready. Now, please remember there's a difference between repair boss and gang boss. Now, once a worker does the work and goes, the gang boss sees that all the machines now are proper, that there's no fault in it. So that next day when the worker comes, he finds the machines in proper order. Then comes the repair boss. The work of the repair boss is to see that while the work is being done, if anything goes wrong, immediately he'll rectify it. So he has to see that the working condition of the machines is very good. And then comes the inspector. The inspector sees that all the goods that are being made, they're of good quality. So he checks the quality of the work. If there's anything missing or anything of poor quality, immediately he gets it rectified. So this is what these 8 people are doing. Now, Taylor also believed that there are many qualities that should be there in a foreman. Like, for example, intelligence, education, great judgment, dexterity, energy, good health, honesty, so many things. And he said you cannot find all of them in one person. Therefore, he divided them into 8 specialists. So this is the first technique of scientific management. Then come to the second one, standardization and simplification. Now, Taylor was very fond of setting standards. He said everything should be done scientifically. So he said there should be a benchmark. Benchmark is the level that everybody should achieve. And this benchmark should be for the raw material, for the machine, for everything. Everything that has to be done in a particular way and with a standard kept in mind. And all this can be done through work study. Now, the third one we are going to do is work study. And for that, he said that you have to keep on devising new and new methods. Now, what was the objectives of standardization and simplification? These objectives are of standardization and simplification both. First is to reduce the given line of product. Now, in simplification, he said, simplify the work. Now, don't have too many varieties. Like, for example, you're dealing in paper. Now, you've got 15 types of paper. Now, a person who wants to come and buy A4 sheets, he'll buy only one type of A4 sheets. He's not going to buy more than one. So what's the point in having so many varieties? So he said, eliminate superfluous varieties and only keep a few of them. Like, for example, Coca-Cola and Pepsi-Cola follow this to the T. Now, in case of Coca-Cola, all the bottles, whether it's a 2-liter bottle or a 1-liter bottle or any other size bottle, the cap is the same. The size of the cap is the same. So they don't have to stock the caps for different bottles separately. So one cap is made which fits all the bottles, and they just keep the stock in one place. So whichever bottle is being made, is being filled, the caps come from that side. So they are not blocking the capital in having too many caps for the bottles. So he said, reduce the given line of product, then establish interchangeability. Like the caps of a 2-liter bottle can be used for 1-liter bottle or 1.5-liter bottle. Interchangeability of parts should be there. And then he said standards of excellence for material. So if you want the product to be of a standard quality, then the material used should also be standard. And not only the material should be of standard, he said establish standards for performance of men and machine. So give the men also some standards. Say machine, you can say that, okay, 10 units have to be made. So the worker works on the machine and he's making 10 units. So he said standards should be set for workers as well as machine and benchmark for the material used. Now let us do the second part of this, that is simplification. Yes, simplification means eliminating superfluous varieties, sizes and dimensions. So he said, suppose you're making a car. Manufacturer is making a car. In that car, 50 types of nuts and bolts are fitted. Now, what happens is that the worker gets confused as to which nut and bolt has to be fitted where. Suppose he fits them all wrong. Then in that case, what will happen to the car? It will wobble. Hilti rahegi wo, jab wo chalegi. So as a result, what happens? You will lose your reputation. Your standard will not be met. So instead of having so many varieties of nuts and bolts or things that you're going to put into a car, limit it. If there are only 4 types of nuts and bolts, then this problem will not arise. And this method of standardization and simplification has been used by various companies like Nokia, Toyota, and Microsoft. And this question came in the compartment exam, children, where they asked which technique of Taylor is being followed by mobile, computers, and automobiles. They did not take the name, they just wrote the main. So again, Nokia, you have any type of mobile. Nokia is now a little outdated. So the charger is the same for all type of Nokia mobile. So they are using simplification. So simplification is being used very successfully even today. Then the third technique advocated by Taylor was work study. Now work study has 4 parts: method study, motion study, time study, and fatigue study. Together it is work study. So let's study the first one, method study. Now Taylor said that there's one particular method of doing the job, and there's only one best method of doing the job, and this method will minimize the cost. Have you ever seen athletes running? When the athletes run, they keep their hands very close to their body so that there's no friction and they don't lose speed. So there's a particular method of doing a work. So he said, if you learn that method, then of course the productivity will increase. And there are various methods of determining what is the best method of doing the job, and then try to implement that particular method. Now this method again, this study again has been used very successfully by automobile cars. Ford Motors is using it. Most of the automobile car factories are using it. Companies are using it, and it is called assembly line. Please remember this, assembly line. So assembly line comes under method study. Now what is assembly line? Earlier, one worker used to make one car, used to assemble one car. Now they said that one worker is going to do just one part of the car. So somebody is fixing the nuts and bolts, somebody is fixing the seat, somebody is putting the engine, somebody is painting the car. So that way, through assembly line, the work was being divided amongst the workers and the work was going very fast. So this is called method study. He said, find the best method of doing the job and get the work done by that particular method. Then comes motion study. Now he said when a person goes to work, he's doing a lot of motions, number of motions. It could be productive or unproductive. For example, there's a person is working in a car automobile industry. Yes, I'm always talking about cars and automobiles. So car comes for repair. So he goes below the car and sees what the problem is. Then he comes out and goes to the tool room and gets the tools that he needs to put. Then he goes again below the car and starts fixing it up. And he realizes there's one tool that is missing. So again, he comes out, goes to the tool room and gets the tool and starts working. In between, he wants to go to the washroom also. So Taylor said divide these motions that are being undertaken to do a work into 3 categories. Productive was when he was repairing the car. Second is incidental. Incidental was like going to the storeroom to go and get the tools that is needed to be able to do the work. And third is unproductive, like going to the washroom. So he said try to eliminate unproductive motions so that the work can be completed on time, and you can time the person how much time it takes to do the work. And for that he used a number of things like stopwatch, symbols, and colors. So this was motion study, in which he studied the various motions. Then comes time study. So he said time study is undertaken with the main objectives to determine the number of workers to be employed. Remember this, number of workers that need to be employed. How do you decide how many workers you need? You will decide with the help of time study. So I've given one example here. So let us say one day has got 6 hours. Normally it has 8 hours. So let's say 2 hours break in between. So 6 hours of working. Okay. Now it takes one person to assemble one TV, it takes 3 hours. One person can assemble one TV in 3 hours. And daily goal is to assemble 10 television. Every day, the organization wants that 10 TVs should be assembled. Now you tell me how many workers are required. So if one person can assemble one TV in 3 hours, that one person can assemble 2 TVs in 6 hours because he's working 6 hours. So each person can assemble 2 television. So if one person can assemble 2 television in the entire day, then so that we are able to make 10 television sets, you need 5 workers. So we could calculate 5 workers with the help of time study. So he said, find out the standard time taken to perform. Now, how do you know he takes 3 hours? Because first you did the motion study. First motion study was conducted and all the unproductive motion were removed. Then it was timed. So between time study and motion study is conducted first, and then time study is conducted to see how many workers need to be employed. And then come to fatigue study. Fatigue means thakavat. Everybody gets tired. If we didn't get tired, we wouldn't sleep at night. We spend 1/3 of our life sleeping. So everybody gets tired and you need to be rejuvenated. Your stamina needs to be increased by giving you rest interval. When we take rest, we feel fresh and we are able to do more. So similarly, Taylor also said that the productivity will increase only when you have given him enough rest interval after completing a task. Now, what are the causes of fatigue? Why does a person get tired? Maybe it's long working hours, constantly is bending and doing the work, so that makes him tired. Or maybe unsuitable work, the work that he's doing is not suitable according to his physique. Or maybe sometimes if you don't have a good relation with your boss, he's always angry with you, so you're also put off and you don't want to do work, your stamina also goes down. So there are various reasons. So he said, find out these hindrances and then see that the productivity of the worker increases or not. So this is all about work study. Then comes differential piece weight system. Now, Taylor wanted to distinguish between efficient and inefficient workers. Now, let us take 2 cases of A and B. Now, standard task, that is 10 units. Everybody is supposed to make 10 units. Now, he said if anybody makes more than 10 units, then that person should be rewarded extra. Now, let us say, look at A. A was told to make 10 units and he was supposed to get 20 rupees per unit. A made 10 units and he got 200 rupees. Now, B made 15 units. He made more. So he's an efficient worker. And for 10 units, he'll get 20 rupees. But for anything extra than 10, he will get 30 rupees. So he made 5 units extra. So he'll get 30 into 5, 150. So 200 plus 150, 350. So by making only 5 units extra, he is getting 350 while A is earning only 200. So Taylor said the differentiate between the efficient and inefficient worker and let the efficient worker earn more. Then 2 things will happen. Either the inefficient will also become efficient or he will leave the organization because the difference between the 2 is quite a lot. So what is differential piece rate? So he said differential piece rate is again based on work study because first you have to see how many units a person can make. You have to time it. All that has to be done. And then he classified the worker into efficient and inefficient. And let me tell you, the workers did not like it. And he was wanting to reward the efficient workers. He said, somebody is efficient, give him more. Don't pay him 20 rupees for those 5 units extra he's made. Pay him 30 rupees. So that differential piece rate system is to be followed. And this, he says, will increase the efficiency. And he also said that it is actually the joint effort. Whatever is being produced is a joint effort between workers and managers. So therefore, he suggested mental revolution here also. He suggested mental revolution that both workers and the managers should change their attitude towards each other. So these are the techniques of scientific management. And now that brings us to the case study. So we'll first see what has been asked, and then we'll go about it. Identify and explain any two techniques of science. Remember, children, two techniques does not mean motion study and time study. Motion study and time study is one technique. So we have to look for those two techniques which we are used. Saket, after completing his entrepreneurship course from USA, returned to India and started a coffee shop, Fioma Coffee, in a famous mall in Mumbai. The speciality of the coffee shop was special aroma of coffee and a wide variety of flavors to choose from. Somehow, the business was neither profitable nor popular. Sanket was keen to find out the reason. He appointed Ria, an MBA from a reputed management institute, as a manager to find out the cause of the business not doing well. Ria took a feedback from the clients and found out that though they loved the special aroma of coffee, but they were not happy with the long waiting time being taken to process the order. She analyzed and found out that there were many unnecessary obstructions which could be eliminated. She fixed a standard time for processing the order. She also realized that there were many flavors whose demand was not enough. So she decided to discontinue the sale of such flavors. As a result, within a short period, Ria was able to attract the customers. Now, this question came in 2017, and you have to identify the two techniques. A big case study must be for 5 marks at least. So I'll give you a moment to recollect. And I've also done a little bit of innovation in this. I've underlined in a different way. Let's see. Yes. So many unnecessary obstructions. In motion study, there were so many unnecessary movements, and discontinue the sale. That means elimination of superfluous varieties. So the two techniques are motion study and simplification of work. Standardization and simplification of work. You can write the both things, but I especially highlighted simplification of work to tell you that here they're talking about the simplification of work. That is removal of superfluous varieties, extra varieties. So that's all in this video. Thank you.